Hello, 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 Gutsy Women. Welcome to this lovely Friday early evening for me. And wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. I have the pleasure today to be interviewing the very lovely Beth Robbins, and she's coming to the Gutsy Women group to tell us all about what she does and why she does it. So, Beth, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing excellent, Dee. It's a cloudy day here in Southern California, but it's always a beautiful day inside.
Yes, it's always, yeah, it is. It's lovely here, very sunny, but there's a little nip in the air. So,
Oh,
yes, that's a little bit, that's not unusual for the UK, by the way.
that's true. That's true. Is it raining?
It's not, it's beautiful blue
Okay.
sky.
Okay.
The sun has stayed out all day. It's just got that little
Little
nippy
nip.
breeze to go with it. So if that dropped, it would be beautiful. I'd be out in the bikini. Well, maybe not that, but you know. Okay, let's get on with this wonderful interview because I'd love people in the group to find out a little bit more about you, Beth, because you do some really, really good work and you've done lots of great work over your lifetime. So, could you tell people where you are, who you are, and what is the story behind what brings you to do what you do?
Well, thank you. I'm here right now in Southern California, San Diego area, which was a dream of mine to live here since I was 9. Finally manifested it 6 years ago. So just completely did an overturn of my life. I had a career doing Broadway musicals and then shifted into fitness, nutrition, and was a coach in that realm for I really want to say 40 years because it's the truth, but it makes me feel like I'm really old and I'm not. So,
Oh.
a good chunk of my life as a health coach. And I realized along the way doing that it's kind of like a glorified therapist, life coach, because it's not just about we're getting your physical body in order. We're also having to work upstairs as well. And so then I had sort of the dark night of the soul happen in my own life, at the 25-year mark of my marriage, where things sort of flipped upside down for me. My identity as a woman, as a wife, as a mother were shifting. And it was a time in my life that was very dark because I, along that journey, lost the essence of who I was, who I used to be, and who I'm supposed to be. I was operating at a quarter of the percent of the potential of what I came here to this realm, this earth to do, to be, and to have. And so I was kind of going through the motions, and my kids were leaving the nest. My marriage was crumbled. Everything that I thought I was and what I was doing, I had to take a big step back. And I realized that I let toxic people pleasing rule my life. And I developed some physical ailments. And at the time, I thought, well, okay, I'm at this age where this kind of stuff happens. And that was the scope of my knowledge, of my level of understanding of what was going on. And so I kind of took a very long route, like over Mount Everest, to find my way. And I think it was letting down the shame um, of what had happened to me, of where my life was, letting that go and accepting help, getting a coach who could shine a flashlight on this is who you are. This is who you're here to be. And it was an aha moment. I said, voila, there I am. I found me again. And I started to have a, a, a place in my heart where I could allow myself to treat myself better, to recognize that I deserve better. And I was self-sabotaging. I was putting self-limiting beliefs, fear paradigms in my way of being who I really, really wanted to be. And that was a transformational life coach. That was what the light that shined. And I thought, I went through a 10-year journey of this that could have taken months or a year to achieve. So I allowed myself to follow that dream to move here to San Diego and get my certifications in order to be able to just reach back and help other women who might feel like they're in this dark cave of now what? Like there was a shift in their life, and things happen to them, for them, whatever, and just reach back and say, hey, I know the way. I got the secret out. There is light at the end of the tunnel. You can come out of the dark cave. And I look back at some of these health challenges and realize, one was I have growths on my thyroid, and they were enormous. And I noticed them. I was laying on my back, and I was noticing that there was a crumble happening in my marriage, and I didn't know what to do. And now I look back and realize I was swallowing my voice. I wasn't speaking up for myself, and I was absorbing all that toxicity in my throat. And I was an opera singer, and it did not affect my singing and voice, thank goodness, but it affected swallowing and all of that. And so, I went through and got biopsies, and everything is fine, and I keep track of it. But what's happening is they are shrinking drastically. And I was told, oh, there's no cure for that. Eventually, if they grow to be too big, we remove the whole thyroid. Well, there's nothing wrong with my thyroid. There's no reason to remove it. There is a reason to remove the toxic, self-limiting beliefs about myself. And so for me, that's like a whole other level of where I am taking this to show women, especially, that you deserve to have a life worth telling a story about. You deserve to create and make your life a beautiful story. And there is a way. And I think there's that sense of allowing that for ourselves, and to allow that to come into our lives, and to give ourselves permission to dream like we dreamed as a child. That's just such a powerful thing. So that's who I am. That's why I'm here, and that's what I do.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, because I'm listening and I'm thinking, how many women out there who are going through the same kind of thing, that it's not that their marriages have failed, they've just run out of whatever we're getting out of being in those relationships. A lot of the time, there's a reason, season, lifetime kind of saying. I don't know if you've ever heard that. You meet people for a reason, a season, or a
Our
lifetime.
lifetime.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I just think that sometimes that you get to a point where you mentioned that, what's next, where do we go here, and what are we each giving to each other? But people stay in those relationships for various reasons, for fears, for anxiety around what other people will think, not to upset the apple cart or whatever.
Yeah.
And and what was it about you that allowed you to actually say, I have to take whatever these imaginary things people are going to say to me, and whatever society is going to think of me, I've got to still step forward. So what was it in you that did that?
Well, I think it's for me, my marriage ended for a reason. There was something that had happened. So I didn't really have a choice in trying to make that work. So I was left with okay, it was a now what's next for me, because I had to. And I had to reach down deep and realize, you're a very strong, independent woman, and that person didn't leave. The essence of who you were hollowed out a little bit, but you have the power within you that is far greater than any circumstance, condition, or circumstance that you might want to hold on to. And for me, it was losing the victim story. You go on a date, and you walk in with this giant suitcase of all your baggage and say, oh, this is just who I am. And realizing that two things that were very powerful things for me that I had to do was learn to forgive, and not only forgive what happened, but forgive myself for feeling shame about it, forgive myself for not seeing the red flags. And I think that was very, very powerful, in understanding that that wasn't my watermelon to carry anymore. That forgiveness is so powerful. It's not just for the situation that happened. I'm not saying that that was the right thing that happened. It happened for me, and I could mine it for the gold nuggets that could come out of it. And to, again, go back to giving myself permission to allow next to flow in. And I had to get rid of that victim story and find the forgiveness in my heart.
Mm. And when that happened, you started to feel your voice coming back, and that's really a fascinating aspect because you didn't take any medication, you didn't do anything else. All you did was this mind emotional work around
Yes.
what was happening there, you know.
Yes. But it wasn't something that I resisted it for far too long. I didn't have the tool set that I needed. And so for me, it was I had to connect to the right person to turn the lights on in that room and go, there it is, right in front of you. You know how you can't see the forest for the trees, you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. That kind of moment for me just changed everything. And I'm a very proud person. I like to say I can figure this out for myself, but I think that, and is strong, independent women, we like to do that, unfortunately. And I think just drop your defense mechanisms. Something else that was really powerful for me was understanding my fear paradigms. You know, um, Fear of failure, but fear of being alone, and realizing that okay, this is a new chapter, and I was born, and I will die, and what I choose to do in the middle of that, they call it the dash. When you have the tombstone, the birth date and the death date, I get to choose this path. And I'm not going for a flat line. I'm going for this line. I would love if I have a tombstone, I want it to be a line that goes like that. She was here and she ended up here.
That
Yes.
sounds amazing. Yes. Why not? Why can't you have that? Let's face it,
Exactly.
you know. And you also work with quantum, don't you, as well? So
Yeah.
can you tell the ladies in the group a little bit more about how that fits in with the mind body connection, with healing, and all of those things?
I think it is recognizing and understanding and respecting that there is a power greater than us breathing us, that our hearts don't beat on their own. There's this power, and we are connected energetically to each other and to that quantum field, that fifth dimension. And I'm really, really trying and learning to meditate and get connected with that, and that theta state where you're just right between sleep and waking up, and that's the best time. And you hear this a lot, but that channel of gratitude and tapping into that, I always tell my clients, before you get fully awake, just take a stock of your body and your mindset, that of gratefulness. And that frequency of gratitude is on the same frequency as abundance. And knowing that we are energetically connected, we're connected to the higher power, but we are also energetically connected to, if you follow Abraham Hicks, our vortex of wanting, of knowing. And it is so powerful. I want to share with you. I was I was kind of in my vortex, and I was in my field of consciousness, of awareness, and learning a different vocabulary, how you word things, and just talking about how wonderful it would feel to have certain things in my life. And one of the things I said was $15,000. I was very, very specific with my quantum world, that it was $15,000, and I was very specific on what I was going to use this money for. And I just imagined that it was already here. It was already in my bank account. And I went with that feeling all day long. I talked about how happy and excited I am that I get this money is in my bank account, and went through the whole day and the next day and still going through that. And yesterday I got my mail, and I am getting a $14,600 refund from the IRS because I
Woo,
overpaid. So I
I
was like,
love
okay,
it.
400. So I'm like, oh, I wonder where the other $400 is coming from. But that connection and respect, recognizing and understanding and allowing that we are connected to that. And in the world of the manifestation, and you talk about the law of attraction. I don't know if you've ever read the book Raymond Hollywell wrote, Working with the Law. He wrote it in 1939. And it's working with the laws, the invisible laws, the laws we can't see. Like we all see the law of gravity. If I drop a pen, you're going to see it fall to the ground. But we don't see the law of attraction. But it is scientifically proven. And he says in this first part of the chapter that when you cast out a desire, I call it a dream. Like
Yeah.
I desire to have this. At the same time, you connect that with the expectation of already winning it, of already achieving it. And when you cast out the desire and have it at the moment, like I expect it to happen, you change your vibration. You send a focused attention to that expectation. And where our energy goes, that or our attraction goes, or our attention, that's where energy flows. And that's when we vibrate up here in the quantum field. And so by attaching that expectation, we in turn behave as if it is happening now. And it's so magical when you can tap into that and really feel it and experience it for yourself. It is mind blowing, and I think that we can expect great health. We can expect healing, and we behave, we act as if it's already there.
Mm.
And it really does. And if you really put your focused attention on that, that is where the energy is going to flow. And it is proven, it is science.
It's I know I've followed all of this for a long time. I've like watched The Secret, and
Uh,
I've read The Secret and The Magic. That it is called The Magic, isn't it? Yes, it is. That's the gratitude journals, and I did the process quite a while ago. And Abraham Hicks was the actual. I think it's
yes.
like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was listening and following all of what was going on there in those little videos online. And
It's really, but what was mind blowing to me is that Raymond Hollywell wrote this in 1939.
yes, way
I've never
back.
read The Secret, but I do follow Abraham Hicks. But I just think that in 1939, this isn't new concepts. These aren't
No.
new newfound laws. They've been there. Thomas Edison, we say he invented electricity. No, he learned how to work with the law of circuitry.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And it was actually Nikola Tesla that
Yes,
discovered electricity,
yes,
but he wanted to give it away for free. Now you know where the rest of the world has gone since that time.
yeah,
When
yeah,
everyone's after the money, he wanted to give us all electricity for free. So it's yeah, and it's such a fascinating subject, that because we are all energy beings, that energy cannot be destroyed. It just gets transmuted into other things. And
exactly,
so where do we transmute that for our benefit?
exactly.
And and sometimes I've written a book as well, a while ago now, back in 2011, and one of the chapters is why people don't want to heal.
Ooh, tell me.
And we get a lot of secondary gain from being
Sick.
ill. Yeah,
Yeah.
we get attention,
Mhm.
we get let off of things that we don't really want to do,
In
and it's kind of like, if I become well, I'm going to have to be somebody that I don't recognize, or somebody that I don't know how to be. And that's just one element of the whole chapter. But there is a secondary gain, and there is a hidden agenda sometimes around
yeah,
being sick. And it's fascinating that the energy of that thinking can bring people into chronic illness all of their life,
right.
and unless they get an idea that they can have all the things they get being sick, all the benefits they feel of being sick, they can still get them when they're well.
Yeah. So how do you facilitate that? How do you get people to turn on that light bulb?
So I use hypnotherapy.
Ah,
So you talked about theta healing. You talked about the theta brainwaves.
yes.
That's the brainwaves that I use with hypnosis. That's what hypnotherapy, therapeutic hypnotherapy is using the theta brainwaves.
So I've always been curious about hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
Can you do it um, like telepathically, or like do you have to be physically in front of me in order to do it, or could we do it
You
on
can you can do it
face to
on
face?
yeah, you can do it on Zoom.
Wow,
And that's how I do
so
it now.
powerful.
Yeah,
Really,
that's how I do it now. And
it's fun.
it is fascinating because it's something that it's a God-given part of our bodies that we just haven't been taught how to use properly in the right way. And it's been demonized and made fun of,
Mm.
people dancing with mops and being told to go out and shoot somebody or whatever. it,
Or you
it,
fall
it
asleep, or
yeah. And somebody can control your movements, and you know
yeah.
but it really isn't like that at all. It really, really isn't when you're doing it therapeutically, and you have to
Yes.
want the end result, um, and so that's really how it works. And you don't need to be physically in the room with somebody. You can do it like this. We can have a session like this, and I can do the same thing.
Wow,
And
that's
so,
so amazing.
and that's part of quantum, isn't it? That is
Yes,
part of quantum.
it truly is.
Theta stage of how it's that energetic shift between one perceived thought and another,
Yes.
and shifting it.
So when you are in a session with someone, can you see it in their aura that it's working, or is it something they have to feel? You can't
No,
physically see that, oh, this
no,
is, so
no,
you
no,
they have to feel it.
no. They it's not like that esoteric thing where you can sense somebody's energy. If
Mhm.
people are if people are um is it clairsentient, where they feel things?
Yes, yes.
And so it's not like that. What I notice is I've been trained to watch for the tiny little micro movements of someone's face,
Hmm.
that I know when I've said something to them that has actually resonated with their subconscious. And there's tiny little micro movements in the face that I'm trained to watch for and to see. So on screen, I would need to see your face like it is now, close up to the camera. And then I will know where what wording I need to use to draw that and to get that feeling amplified, so that they're actually feeling well and feeling energized and feeling whatever. But it takes training. It's taken most of my adult life since I started doing this work, because we need to be trained properly. You can't just do it two days on a
Right.
weekend. You can't be a bus driver on a Friday and a hypnotherapist on a Monday.
That's
Um,
good to know. That's good
yeah,
to know.
yeah. But some people do try that. They get the little certificate and put it on the wall and think that that's the whole thing. But no,
That's it.
and so really, it's about being acutely aware of those micro movements in the face. So
Interesting.
and so that's how I see it. But the fact that you use the words theta and quantum, I'm thinking, yes, I get it, because I do that with my work too.
Yeah.
So when you have somebody in front of you and you're doing work with them, what would that actually look like in reality for somebody who's listening today?
So really, I mean, I take people through a 12-week course primarily, but it's for me recognizing that you are the number one authority on you. And so, as a transformational life coach, it's me asking the quality questions that you only know the answers to, that perhaps that you haven't paid attention to. So it's, we do work on forgiveness, on getting your vibration. We call it setting state with just breathing. And sort of like putting on the energy of your vision. So we like to blueprint, like you get permission to dream and have this mega dream. Like I've always wanted to have a beautiful home on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, or attracting the love of, your soulmate, or if it's having this amazing career, whatever it is, or vibrant health. But we do a time machine where we fast forward, it's 1 year from now, or it's 3 years from now. We choose that date, and you are living your vision. All the obstacles and challenges and things that you might have had in your head or were going to be in your way, none of that matters. You are now living your dream in your present state. So you speak to me like, I have you spin around counterclockwise once, and it's May 15th, or it's May 16th now, May 16th of 2026. And oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in so long. Tell me what's been going on in your life. And you speak back to me in the present tense what it is like to be you. I'm living in this house, and you describe your house. I've got this massive kitchen where I can cook, and I have a beautiful landscape outside where we sit outside and we have a glass of wine and we're looking at the Pacific and the sunset, and it's juicy details, and you can just see the energy just get bigger and bigger. And so when we do the work, we go back to that screenshot moment of there you are in your vision, and we put it on like a hat, and we operate from that energy where we are not only blueprinting, but we start building. We befriend fear. We find out what are these fear paradigms and why are they there? And I give the analogy, your fear paradigms are like a thermostat. Like we keep our bodies at 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. We keep our homes at a certain temperature. Our subconscious likes to keep us in the comfort zone. And when we start to get to that growing edge of getting out of our comfort zone or taking our quantum leap to our vision,
Mm.
Peter goes, wait, no, what are you doing? We don't know what it's like over there. Come back down here. Remember, we're afraid of what all your friends are going to think. Remember that? Yeah, that's where we stay down here. Or remember that you're afraid of failure. Like, what if this doesn't work out? What's going to happen? And so don't do it. We're going to stay down here where it's comfortable. And so we understand that when these fears, like when we start taking, like we actually calendarize, like what are the action steps we're going to take this week that's going to take you one step closer to your dream. And then you do it, and then you start having this, uh-oh, what did I just do? And the fear bubbles up, and recognizing that that's the good news. That means we're getting somewhere. And so we can understand that, oh, I see you, fear. You've been with me my whole life. Let's be friends, but I'm going to drive the car and you're going to go shotgun now because I'm still going to go for this dream. But we can't get there if we don't have the energy of the vision, that hat on. And
Mm.
when we don't have that hat, that's when we let fear win. And that's what happens to most people. They're going to write the book. They're finally going to put all their soul onto paper, and they're going to publish it, and people are going to read it. Oh my gosh, that's so scary. So I'm going to self-sabotage, and I'm not going to finish that book. It's going to remain in the Google Doc on my computer for the rest of the time. And when I die, someone's going to find it. And so it's working with that, but really just always coming from the energy of your vision and learning how to calibrate your vibration when you feel a little wonky, when
Mm.
you feel anxiety, when you feel fear, when you feel sad, when you feel defeated. When you're noticing what you're noticing these feelings. When they don't feel good, that's because it's not the truth. It's not the
Mm.
truth. Your inner being, your inner voice knows, oh yeah, I'm not playing along. So you go ahead and have a stomach ache and pace the floor and wring your hands. We're gonna be up here when you're ready to come back up to this frequency. We'll
Mm.
hang out here. You go through your pity party, your freak out, whatever. But as you learn and you go through it, and you learn to notice what you're noticing, like, oh, I'm feeling this way. This isn't the truth. And I can reach for, oh yeah, I'm gonna put on the energy of my vision now because that
Mm.
feels better. That
Yes.
feels better because it's the truth.
Mhm. It's all about what would I love being
What
from
would I
this.
love?
It's
Oh my
about
God.
what would I love? What would I love? Isn't it? It's that saying. I say that to people. I say, right, so currently you're in this current reality that you don't want, that
Mhm.
there's something more, something better for you. And
Yes.
then you've got a blue skies vision of what your life would really be like. And then
Yes.
what all we've got to do is build a bridge between there and there.
Exactly. I actually have 5 bridges that we build when I
Yeah,
coach.
that's excellent. So
And,
yeah,
and
it's like
it's that
building that.
question, what
Yeah,
would I love?
what would
Yes.
what would I love instead? What would I love instead? And
Yes.
then working with that. And
Yes. And being very careful not to say, what would I love? Allowing yourself to dream and then saying, well, how am I going to get it? When's it
yeah,
gonna get?
the how isn't the trick. We don't
None
need
of
to
our,
know the how. The how
no,
shuts the door. The what,
exactly.
the what opens the door, but the
Exactly.
how question shuts the door. So
Exactly.
it's really, really great stuff when we all start to fall into that lovely way of being, so that we actually get those things that we want to get. Beth, I could talk to you all day about this because I'm fascinated by this subject, and it's why I do the work I do as well. So it's lovely to hear more about how you actually work, and for the ladies in the group who are watching this video to actually hear how you work as well, because that can be the spark that helps somebody to reach out. So if anybody who's watching this today has felt that spark and wants to reach out to Beth, please get in touch with her. She's going to put her details below this video, and she's in the group, so she'll be able to comment and answer questions and all that, all the things that you need to get information from her. And we'll have you back another day at some point in the not too distant future, and I'll be saying to you, it's the 16th of May since last year. Where are you now?
That's right. And I'll do it right back to you.
Exactly. Yeah, that'll be good. Right, you're on this time next year. I said that to Ginny in the Women's Empowerment Network yesterday. She said, do you realize it's been a year since I interviewed you? And I went, and she said, so this time next year I'll have you back. So we're going to have all these appointments this time next year.
Okay, I love it.
Yeah. Beth, thank you so much. It's been a joy, absolute joy, and a pleasure to speak to you today, get to know you a little bit better and more about your work as well. So thank you very much indeed. I'm going to say goodbye to everybody in the Gutsy Women Collective for now, and we will see you all later. Thank you so much, Beth.
Thank you.